Nobody in my family is an entrepreneur. Nobody in my friend circle, my college or office mates had done it. I was in Samsung from 2012 to 2021, right? So 10 year period. I saw that I had to trade creative freedom for financial freedom. I realized that, yeah, that I'm stuck in this job and I will, to the end of my life, I'll keep doing this. A lot of reflection over multiple years, eventually, which led to me quitting in 2021 and trying to do my own stuff. Across my businesses, doing somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000 MRR. That's a dream come true for me. When I quit, I had 2 years of runway saved up. There were multiple months with zero revenue. I had different business ideas, from agency work to consulting to education products, SaaS products, info products, and yeah, 25 plus failures. But again, I had the savings. I had a supportive family. It really started with a simple Twitter DM where he just DM'd me, "Hey, I just love your content. Can we get on a call and to chat?" So that's how we got our first 100 customers. My Twitter audience actually did not help there. I only got copycats because there were so many developers in my audience. I've been banned with multiple subreddits. That's not an issue. The problem is that when people start to criticize you and say that you're useless, you're wasting your time, you're wasting everyone else's time, you're wasting your life, you go do better things. With coding, you're trying to tell a computer what to do. With marketing, you're trying to tell a human what to do. Coding is very deterministic, very fast feedback. You look exactly how it is going to happen. With marketing, like you don't know, you take one step today and you get a result 6 months down the line. If someone doesn't give you honest advice, you're just going down the wrong path. So there was a need for some kind of a safe space for people to come in and share honest feedback with each other. That's why the community started. We are past 125 members now. I've been told many times that I lose focus, that I should just focus on one thing and make it really big instead of trying to do so many things. And probably they're right. But I again go back to, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for creative freedom, for financial freedom. If I feel the energy from inside me to do something, that I'm not going to turn that energy off. If I was really wanted to be focused, I would stick to my job. Naturally, I am inclined towards so many things. Why should I stick to one thing?
Welcome to Beyond the Brackets. I am Nitesh.
I am Pariti, and today we're excited to have Ayush with us. Ayush is a bootstrap entrepreneur. He's the co-founder of Elephas, which is an AI writing assistant SaaS tool, and co-founder of Indie Masterminds, which is a tight-knit community membership for founders who are building their independent businesses. He should be the poster boy for breaking out of corporate slavery and building a host of online businesses from India. Excited to have you here, Ayush.
Thanks a lot, Paridhi and Nitesh, for having me. I'm so excited to speak with you guys. Really looking forward to it.
Same for us. So let's start by talking about a little bit about your life and work at Samsung. Why did you quit it after being there for 11 years?
Yeah. So I was at Samsung from very early on. Right after college, actually, I went to Infosys for 2 years. I was in Samsung from 2012 to 2021, right? So 10 year period. And it was, yeah, I loved coding at the time, right? When I just learned coding and I was doing it live, writing Android and Java code for actual real customers. I worked on the first Samsung S1 or S2, I think. And those very early on Android phones, when Android was very new, Samsung was building its own skin very early days. And as a developer, in 2 or 3 years into your career, that is like a dream come true for me, because I could work on really interesting problems in a very niche market. And it was exciting. And I used to love coding back then. But as it happens, right, in India, like as you grow in your career, you're not expected to do your own work. You're expected, you get a team assigned to you. You're expected to get other people to do work. Because, hey, if you're good at this, let's just stop doing this and get you to do something else. And what I eventually realized is that I did not enjoy managing people. I did not enjoy the mid-management leadership sort of a role that happens in corporate environments. The larger the company, the more systems and more structures it needs to maintain its employees, and the more I think it becomes bad or a poor experience for the employee itself, for each individual employee, because they don't first they get bracketed into very small buckets, very tiny buckets, where you don't have the freedom to work on the kind of things that you want to work. Creative freedom is lost. And secondly, like, you have to jump through loopholes just to get some silly things done. There's so much red tape that gets in, so many approvals and all of those things. So I went through that entire journey in a company, which was, as the company matured, as its products matured, as we went from the S20, S2 to the S22, and 21. And I see over the decade, I witnessed how, like, my creative freedom is being curbed here. And I'm having to, and why am I sticking? Like, why am I doing this? only because it gives me, not just because it gives me money, but yeah, money is a big deal. So basically, I saw that I had to trade creative freedom for financial freedom, and I realized at some point that I need to find a way, figure out a way to have both of them, get both the things in parallel, have creative freedom and financial freedom. And staying in that job, or in any job for that matter, in any corporate environment, was not going to be the answer. Because the more I studied companies, the more I spoke to other friends who are in other large companies like that, everyone could see that yes, this is not a problem to solve. This is just how it is. This is how just how you live life, right? This is life as an employee, and you must get used to it. And I was like, why should I get used to it? There must be other ways to live life. So yeah, this is very deeply philosophical inquiry that went in, and a lot of reflection over multiple years, eventually, which led to me quitting in 2021 and trying to do my own stuff. Yeah, sorry
That's
for the long
very
answer.
relatable. No, that's
Yeah.
very relatable to me actually as well. So yeah, that must have required a lot of bravery and courage being in a corporate job for 11 years and then finally quitting. Yeah, you've written that you had 2 years of runway at that point with
Yeah.
limited spending. Can you paint a picture of what kind of expenses you avoided making during that time?
Yeah. So yeah, very like come from a very typical middle class background, Indian background. So we don't do a lot of extravagant expenses anyways, right? But it just meant, but since I knew for 2 or 3 years that someday I'm going to do this, I'm going to quit my job. So I started saving up for a while and started investing in mutual funds and those sort of things I started doing from an early age. And it became right yeah, when I quit, eventually I had 2 years of runway saved up and good savings money wise, where if I did not make any money, I would still be able to survive for 2 years as a family, right? So my wife had a job, but my parents are dependent parents who live with us. My son is 9 years old now. He lives, like, of course he lives with us as well. So we're five based out of NCR. And what we try to avoid, and in general as a life philosophy, we try to avoid having impulse purchases, or buying fancy stuff just for things which have extrinsic motivations, right? So whenever I'm about to make a purchase, I question myself that is this something really that I want for myself, or is it something that's just I'm doing it just because I get to tell people that I have so much money? So buying a fancy car, buying a bigger house. Like, we have a house, it's nice and cozy. It's not the biggest house, but it's a place we call home. And we have a car, and it's not the biggest car, but yeah, it's a good car. We have a phone. It's not the most expensive phone, but it gets the job done. So those kind of things, I think there's a huge culture today of taking on debt to fund your lifestyle. And I understand taking on debt to buy a home, but beyond that, I don't see any point in, or maybe taking on debt to get a good quality education. But beyond a point, I don't think people should be taking any sort of debt, right? So basically, I was debt free and tried to remain that way and not spend too much on anything that was not intrinsically motivated and that did not actually add value to my life. So
Right.
those are kind of questions that I would ask myself.
And along the journey, did you ever contemplate on going back to the corporate life?
No, not really. Thankfully, touch wood, like, it has been a great journey in the last 3 years, and it was about there are downs, there are down moments, and I knew there were multiple months with zero revenue, and nothing was going started. I had multiple pivots, tried different business ideas, from agency work to consulting and freelancing, and to building multiple education products, SaaS products, info products, and 25 plus failures and multiple months with no revenue. But again, I had the savings, I had a supportive family. I knew that if I could just ride through the storm, things will eventually start to work out, right? And over the last 3, 4, 6 months, like, things have started to turn for the positive, and we are in a good place now. We're profitable. Going back was never a question, because I had thought deeply about this, and I'd taken a lot of time to come to this decision. That never occurred to me, but that is also not, and that is not out of the options. If things had gone really bad, I don't mind going back to a job. It's not an ego thing. If nothing's working, I'm happy to go back. If I was in a position where only 6 months of money is left and I've got nothing going, then I would start applying for jobs. Right? I'm not that stupid. Right?
Right.
But yeah, thankfully that did not occur. So yeah, I'm lucky that way.
Got it. And did you have any other friends or peers who'd done something similar to what you did?
Nobody in my real life, quote unquote, people, nobody in my family is an entrepreneur. Nobody in my friend circle, my college or office mates had done it. But I met a lot of friends online on Twitter. I started getting active there and met so many people from around the world who were trying this. And so many people who were a few steps ahead of me who had done this, that it gave me a lot of motivation, and I could see a pattern, or I could see that how this game is played. So not someone in my immediate friends and family, but in my online network, I was able to get enough examples of how people are doing it, and try and understand, okay, this is what I need to do, and this is how these guys are doing. If they can do it, probably I can do it as well.
Got it.
And
Makes so much sense.
I have a
Yeah.
question there.
Yeah.
When you were quitting the job at Samsung, so you mentioned that it was because you wanted some creative freedom.
Yeah.
Why didn't you explore working at a smaller startup? Maybe that given you.
Yeah, that was that was the other option. But again, I'm based out of NCR. I'd have to. It's
Yeah.
trouble like finding good startup jobs. And the other problem with startups, and with especially funded startups, is the stress that comes with it, right? Because this is the second issue that I was trying to solve, was that to build the life I want to build and then build a business around it, rather than the other way around, that first you get a career and then build a life around it. That's the traditional approach that people do, that they get a job and then they rent a house which is close to the job. They make friends which are in the same company, right? So that's what happens. Traditionally, what I wanted to do was that, okay, this is my life, this is where I live, this is my house, my family, these are my friends. Now, what business can I do, or how can I make a living from here, working around myself? So VC funded startup, there's a lot of stress and a lot of investors breathing down your neck that come in, which I did not want to pursue, and which did not, again, another way of life that did not make sense to me, because either I would join a startup or I would start my own startup, and both would be equally stressful. And my son is at an age where he's not going to be 7, 8, and 9 again ever in his life. I don't want to miss that. So that's how I didn't like, the corporate life didn't make sense, and that's why startup life also didn't make sense. So really, it is just a process of elimination for me. Like, what options can I cut out, and whatever is left, okay, this is what you've got to do. This is what you're left with.
You make
Yeah.
this like sound so simple, the
Yeah.
process that you went through.
It's it's
Now,
uh, it's it's simple, but it's not easy. Like, is what I like to say. Like, the most beautiful things in life are simple, but they're not easy. Like, you can talk to a friend for 6, 7 hours, your college friends, and you can talk in the night, and that's such a simple and beautiful thing. But not many people have access to that. Like, we don't call our friends enough. It's not easy to do. But when you do it, it seems so simple that, of course, this is how it should be. So yeah, it's one of those things
yeah,
in life that it sounds very simple, but I'd never say to anyone that this is easy to do. Like, it takes hard work, of course.
totally. Now, when you quit your job, I also saw in your post that you had one consulting client.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that consulting client. Like, what were you doing as a consultant back then?
Yeah, so I was moving into product management at the time. I was staff engineer at Samsung, and product management seemed like a good area to explore, to go further, one step further from development, from coding, and then getting closer to business. So I was getting into that, and I was reaching out to a lot of early stage startups based out in the West to hire me as a part-time product manager or a consulting product manager, where they don't have to pay as much money. I don't have to work full time for them. Right. So these startups, when they're doing their first hires, they don't have the luxury of a budget to hire full-time employees, but they need the same quality of work. So that was my pitch. And I pitched to multiple companies and directly to the founders via Twitter. Thankfully, my Twitter at the time was very good. Even today, it's quite powerful. And I had started to build a small following there. So I had some credibility on Twitter at least. And through that, I was able to reach out to a few people, and did a bunch of interviews, and eventually one startup agreed to hire me as a consultant and pay me a modest fee for 20 hours of work, and then for the other 20 hours of work a week, and then the other 20 hours I was free to do whatever I wanted to do. So that was a kind of arrangement, and that felt like the right transition. I knew that was not going to be really long term, because startups, like, again, eventually 1 year down the line, even they had an exit and they moved on. I knew that was a transition decision, but it helped me ease into entrepreneurship, and get some consulting experience, get some freelancing experience, and get some startup experience as well. And I understand how products are built, and how businesses are built. Because again, as I said, I had no entrepreneurship experience before that. So like, I had to learn everything from scratch, from zero. Yeah.
Great. Can you share the story of how you met your co-founder and started working on
Yeah,
Elephas?
yeah. My business partner, again, this is Twitter, because of Twitter, right? And then I quit my job, and 1 year into my journey, right? I was writing every day. I was sharing my experiences, trying different things, trying different businesses. And I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of random people from across the world. I would do Zoom calls. Someone would DM, or I would DM them, and we would get on a Zoom call, understand what they're doing and how they're doing it. So Kamban was, at the time, he had a full-time job. He was a CTO at a service-based company based out of Chennai in India. He was an ace developer. Like I was never as good as him. So he was really good, but he was also contemplating the same decision that, okay, should I quit my job? If I quit, what would I do? How would I do it? And I was learning marketing, right? What I realized is, being a developer, okay, I'm learning, I need to learn new skills. So I learned and understood product management. Then I was starting to learn marketing, because I realized that this is what will set me apart, because that is the rare skill here. Right? There are so many developers right now, but if you need to build a business, again, there's a lovely quote from Naval Ravikant. It's called "Learn to build, learn to sell. If you can do both, you'll be unstoppable." So I knew how to build, and I knew so many hundreds and thousands of people who knew how to build, but not enough people know how to sell. So I was trying to learn to sell. Right, and that's what attracted. That's what he found interesting in me, that we had complementary skill sets. So he said, "Okay, I'm starting this thing. Do you want to come and join me?" And initially, I came on only as a consultant, a couple of hours a week, just helping him out, how to do it. And he quit his job. He launched the product. He launched Elephas. He built it himself, and then he launched it. And he took my help too. I consulted him initially. In 6 months or so, I think 5, 6 months, I think he was able to reach to $2,500, $3,000 MRR. And that's when he realized, okay, this thing has legs. So why don't you come and join me as a co-founder? And then you do the marketing, I'll do the development, and then both of us, a team of two indie hackers, you can make it work. So that's how the relationship has grown from there. But it really started with a simple Twitter DM, where he just DM'd me, "Hey, I just love your content. Can we get on a call, 10 to chat?" So yeah, that's how it really started. It's just a random part of the internet.
Yeah, that's amazing. It is so powerful indeed. So, to give the listeners a role model to look up to, can you share some rough estimates of how much revenue your different businesses are making today?
Yeah, so I don't, yeah, it's hard to share, because if I share my company revenue, essentially I'm like, because now we have employees also, right? Like when we started, it's just the
Yeah.
two of us, but now we have full-time employees working for us. So it's not even not, now we're like a proper company. But yeah, across my businesses, we're doing somewhere between 10 to $15,000 MRR, my monthly recurring revenue every month, right? From with the SaaS and the community, and some one-off coaching that I do. So that's good. But again, I would like to say that's a dream come true for me, and it's something that I had aspired to for a long time. But again, this is revenue, right? We have costs. We have to pay for a bunch of stuff. We have to pay salaries every month. So it's not profit, but the profit is good. That's all I can say. It can be life changing, and you can build a small team profitable business out of it, right? It's like the old school business fundamental. Like when you set up a mom and pop store, you want to be profitable. You want more money coming in every month than going out. And that's the kind of business that we're looking for. We're not looking for maximizing our valuations. We're just looking to be profitable every month. And that we've been able to do for more than a year now. And yeah, that's good.
It's amazing. Yeah. And I know from our previous conversation that you also have a lot of new other ideas coming around
Yes,
and new
yes,
businesses
yes,
that you want to start. So it'll be really
yes, yes,
exciting
yes.
to see where you
Yeah,
take
yeah,
this.
really excited for them as well. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to jump into the next segment of this interview where I'll pick your brain and give advice to the listeners who are listening about different aspects of what you've already figured out. The first thing is building a SaaS and particularly growing and marketing for a SaaS.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell me like what does it take to go from let's say 0 to 10 customers and 10 to 100 customers and
Yeah.
100 to 1,000? Like those stages look different, and
Yeah, totally. There are very different journeys in a product's life. And I think your first 10 customers will come probably from word of mouth. If you have some sort of a network, if you, or like not word of mouth, but actually one-on-one. If you have some sort of a network or an audience, if you can go to them. We actually did not get our first 10 customers that way.
how did you get?
But Yeah, so we got it we posted in communities on Reddit and Facebook groups and then Hacker News and then on day one we had like revenue coming in. Then there's so many subreddits focused on AI and focused on max productivity. So we used to a ton of content on those subreddits and try and promote the app and get a lot of customers. So that's how we got our first 100 customers. And but it was hard work. And I realized later that if I had just spoken to 10 people myself and pitched them the product, it might have been easier to get the first 10 customers. But nevertheless, like we got decent traction early on and got our first 100 customers, I would imagine, from these networks and these niche communities. My Twitter audience actually did not help there. If anyone thinks that you build an audience and you sell a product to them, like that does not work, right? Because nobody in my Twitter audience actually bought the product, and I did not. I only got copycats because there were so many developers in my audience that whenever I would say that, hey, my product is doing well, next week I'll see the same product copied and a product and launched by them by a copycat. So that was an early learning that my audience is not going to help. But going into niche communities where my ideal customer would hang out, I think that is going to help me. So that's what we did. In the first, yeah, if I were to advise someone, first 10 customers, probably because you're still learning on the product, you should do one-on-one right towards sales or pitching. After that, you can start posting on subreddits and Facebook groups and communities
What do you
and
post there?
Slack groups.
Do you just post
Yes.
that this is my product, or do you try to do more
No,
of
no, no, no,
them?
no. So over time, I came up with a sort of template, which is that you start with the pain, right? Every product has to solve a pain. If it doesn't solve a pain, it's not worth building, right? You start with the pain. You say that, okay, this is the pain that I felt, and this is the pain when I spoke to 5 people, they also felt this pain, and I thought a lot, and this is the solution that I came up with. So this is why I built this product. I showed this product to two or three friends, and they said that this is good and they would like to try it out. Then I show a small video of the product and like a demo video, GIF thing where the product in action. And then at the end, I would say that, hey, this is free to try. If you feel the same pain, if you think that this can be useful to you, go to this link, try it out, and let me know. I'm looking for feedback. Let me know if I can improve. I would be happy to work on it and improve the product. So with that, you being honest, even if you're promoting, people would understand that why you're promoting, why you're doing this, and there'll be some relatability. And then they would, yeah, some people would buy, some people will still give you hate, and you can get banned and you get a lot of abuse, and you have to be okay with that. Right? You get called names and
That
your
is my
product,
number one fear.
yeah, your
That
product
is my
gets
number
called
one fear
shit.
whenever I'm thinking about posting on Reddit. Like, I'll
Yeah.
just get banned. Nothing will happen, and I'll just get banned from all subreddits.
Getting banned is not a problem. I've been banned in multiple subreddits. That's not an issue. The problem is that when people start to criticize you and start saying bad things about you and about your product and say that, hey, there are 100 other things. Why are you building this? And you're useless. You're wasting your time. You're wasting everyone else's time. You're wasting your life. You go do better things. Why don't people like you just get over it and die
Oh my God.
and stuff like that? So yeah, you're reading all of those things for yourself. Like that is the real mental trauma that you have to go through. But yeah, you go through that. You take it with a pinch of salt. You realize that an anonymous platform like Reddit will have those kind of people. But you also get good criticism. You get good feedback. You get good appreciation also. So it's a mix of everything, right? So yeah, it really worked well for us in the initial days, and we got a lot of traction from Reddit. Eventually, what we started to see that there was too much competition, and there was a lot of fatigue on the platform because once ChatGPT came out, right? Then like new AI apps started coming. We were pre ChatGPT at the time. There were not many apps, so it was still fresh and new. So people liked it. But post ChatGPT, it became very obvious that everyone is just flooding Reddit promoting their products, and the strategy is not working. And Andrew Chen, I think, coined the term the law of shitty click-throughs, which means that every the click-through rates on every traffic channel are eventually going to go up, shoot up. Every traffic channel, marketing channel is going to die, is going to get depleted, get very expensive. And that was started to happen with Reddit for us. So yeah, but we were 6, 8 months in, we had decent traction, we had customers. So then we started exploring other channels and then got into SEO. So like SEO since then has been over the last 1 year, SEO has been a good channel for us and getting good steady traffic and customers for us.
Nice. This is really interesting. And when you say SEO, I just want to also click a little bit on it. So this is what you think helps to go from, say, 100 to beyond that.
Yes, yes. After you have 100, if you have 100 customers, so 100 paying subscribers, that means you have validation. Right? Once you have validation, that means you can go in and create content focused on Google searches and on for people who are looking for a category of that your product falls in. What you're really looking for is low competition, high intent keywords where people are trying to solve a painful problem, and you're writing posts, writing content to answer those questions. And that's how you kickstart a SEO. If you don't have 150, or like 100 is a random number, but you don't have a substantial number of customers, you still don't have product market fit. You don't have validation that your product is something worth paying money for. Right, at that time you cannot have an SEO strategy because you don't know your positioning in the market. You don't know who your ideal customer is, so you don't know what questions they are asking on Google. So it's really about knowing your customers. So once you know 100 customers and you interacted with them enough, and you've probably done user interviews, or like I did a lot of demos as well, group demos, group webinars with our customers. So to understand who our customer is and what they're trying to achieve with the product. Once you know that, then you can brainstorm that what they must be typing into Google, how must they be looking for on search engines, and then you can write content to answer those queries and start getting traffic from Google. Yeah.
Correct. Now, what's really blowing my mind about all of this and hearing you talk about all of this is that for 10 years, you were not into marketing at all. Like more than 10 years, you were just a developer working a normal corporate job at
Yeah.
Samsung. And then you were able to just turn this around and teach yourself marketing and be the person who can be the technical co-founder of doing that.
Marketing co-founder, yeah, non-technical co-founder, right? Yeah, non-technical co-founder
Yeah.
in a SaaS product, yes.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
how did you teach
it
yourself?
wasn't a sudden
Yeah.
turn. It takes a lot of trial and error. It takes a lot of failure trying to sell. So again, it comes back to Naval Ravikant's quote, right? Learn to build, learn to sell. And I always knew that I could build. It was all about, okay, I knew that I had to learn to sell, and I cannot run away from this skill, whatever I want to do. Yeah, I try to look as coding in a way. Like with coding, you're trying to tell a computer what to do. With marketing, you're trying to tell a human what to do. You're trying to understand how the human mind works, how the code of the human brain works, and what do people really want, and then you're trying to then influence that. Right. Of course, the feedback loop in that sort of coding is very long, and then you make a lot more. It's way more indeterministic as compared to coding. Coding is very deterministic, very fast feedback loops, exactly how it is going to happen. With marketing, like you don't know, you take one step today and you get a result 6 months down the line, positive or negative. And so yeah, I read a lot of books, took a bunch of courses, saw how people are doing it, and then eventually I shipped a ton of products. In 2022, I took on a crazy challenge for myself where I said 6 months, 25 weeks, 25 products. So where I basically shipped one small info product every week. And actually, I did not ship the product. I only made a landing page and tried to sell it. I tried to promote it. And I was like, okay, if I get $100 from this, then I will build this. If I don't get $100 from this, then I'm not going to build this. This is useless. Right. So that really trained my marketing and sales muscle, where I could understand that, okay, this is what moves the needle for people. This is what people really want. This is how I should write the copy for this. And this is how I should position my product. And this is how I should market my product and who my customer is. And of course, none of those 25 products did anything seriously. Like probably 2 or 3 of them survived and did well. But they taught me a lot about marketing and about why customers buy, right? Consumer psychology. I was always very interested in psychology. Like I used to read a lot of books, like psychology books before, even as a developer. And now it just be like when I came to marketing, it just became that, okay, how do I apply my psychology knowledge to understand consumers particularly, not generals, not humans in general. Then it's a lot of trial and effort, a lot of failure. And as I said, like there are so many coders and builders out there that I realize that marketing is the skill that I have to build if I want to stand out and if I want to add value to the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a learning process every day. Like I'm no expert. I'm just trying to learn.
I have a
Totally, yeah.
question.
Yeah.
When you were
Yeah.
working at Samsung, were you building like side projects there as well, or did you start
Uh,
after quitting?
Yes, yes. I love to write. So I always had a writing project of some sort going, like a reading or writing project. I would write book summaries. I would write articles on the side, right? I would read books. I would understand them. I would build some small products, also some Android apps, right, which got nowhere. because again, I had no intention of monetizing them, no intention of building them into a business. This is more like creative explorations. It actually, yeah, towards my last year when I knew that I was going to quit, that's when I started getting active on Twitter, and I did some info products, and I wrote some small ebooks and courses, and sold them for some money, and made some revenue from there, and understood a few things. And actually, a couple of years before that, I had started a DTC business, right? Print on demand, t-shirt business, Shopify store, Facebook ads, right on the side, because that was a hot thing back then. Right? People would say, "Hey, run a print, run. You can make easy money with print on demand and direct to consumer." And I lost so much money there, and I lost thousands of dollars. But I had never had an MBA, so I thought, okay, this is my MBA. Right? I'm now understanding what is logistics. I'm understanding what is marketing, what is copywriting, how to write copy for ads, how to write copy, what is a landing page, what's a product page, what is a funnel, how does a funnel work, how do Facebook ads work. So yeah, that was while I still had a job, so I had money to burn, and so that was something that taught me a lot. And eventually, 1 or 2 years after that, I got into SaaS, and then or rather indie hacking, and then I eventually quit my job. So yeah, that was probably one experience of trying to build a business on the side.
So yeah, I think your story makes it sound like you overnight you turned into this marketing wizard, but I think
No,
the seeds were planted way before during your corporate job. Which so I've been in a corporate job for 2+ years, and then no, most people I knew there, they're not doing things on the side. Yeah, so that is.
Totally. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So yeah, that DTC store I probably started during COVID, I think 2019, 2020. Yeah, at the time, yeah, one year before I quit. So that was probably my first foray into marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. And I just want to highlight something that you said a bit earlier on about marketing having long feedback loops when you compare it to product development and being non-deterministic. And that is also like two things that I've taken out from my journey of trying to sell things. Like
Yeah.
you can do one thing today and then see, oh wow, this actually worked but it worked 6 months down the line. So
Yeah.
all those 6 months, you were just kicking yourself in the butt saying that, oh my God, you're so stupid. It doesn't work.
Exactly.
But it did
Exactly.
work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this happens so many times. Yeah, it's just my life now. What can I do? It's painful.
True, and it's also non-deterministic. So that is also something I agree with, and I really feel so with product, or it's like you put in 2 ounces of effort and you get 5 results back. But with marketing, it can be like you put in 2 effort, you can have 0 back, or you can have 100 back.
Yes.
So
exactly.
yeah.
As a coder, coming from a coding background, when I used to write code, I knew exactly that, okay, if I write, this is going to happen. And if this is not happening, it's a bug, and I can debug this and I can fix this.
Yeah.
It may take me 1, 2, 3 days. I have to spend sleepless nights to do this, but I will debug this issue and I'll fix it, and the code will run as I intend it to run. But marketing hardly ever happens that way, right? It never happens the way you intend it to happen, and you can spend as much time as you want on it, but it'll never be like certain or deterministic marketing.
Yeah, so like you need this mindset like of almost having a thick skin, or being patient, and it's apart from the hard marketing skills, it's also mindset work.
Yes, totally. It's a mindset shift when you come from become from a developer to a marketer. It's a very different mind. Being a marketer now, it helps me understand the developer's mind really well, and I can see how my business partner thinks, and then how he thinks of a product, and how my developers think about the product, and where they may be lacking, and where I can add value maybe. So I can understand that mindset very nicely now.
Yeah, I love this. Okay, I want to switch gears and talk about your community now, Indie Masterminds. Tell us, why did you start it, and how did you get your first 10 paying members?
Yeah. So it was again off of Twitter, and 1 year into my journey, right after quitting my job, I was trying different things, and I knew that, and I was meeting so many interesting people, and it seemed that everyone wanted to build their own business, but they're trying things, they're failing, and the people are giving up. And there was no like someone to go to them and tell them that, look, dude, this is wrong. Like, you're trying this and your friend is saying this is good, but this will, you are bound to fail, and you're going to give up in 3 months. I can say this. I've seen enough stories now that if someone doesn't give you honest advice, you're just going down the wrong path. So there was a need for some kind of a safe space for people to come in and share honest feedback with each other. Also keep each other accountable, because you can get all the information and knowledge that you want, but what really moves the needle is actually doing the work. Like you can imagine in your mind that one day I'll have a great podcast, but to actually have a great podcast, you have to put in the work to do 100 great podcast episodes, and podcast number 101 might be good. So what I realized at the time was that people are not putting in the work. Like people would buy courses and they'll buy books, and then they would just gather digital dust, right? Nobody would actually go through them, or even if they went through them, they would not actually build products and try to sell something to someone. And that was what was holding people back. So that's why I realized that, okay, a course is not going to make sense. Probably a mastermind program might help, where people, every week we come and we talk about everyone's business and what action are they taking and what is stopping them from taking action, and what feedback do they need. So really, it was based on feedback and accountability. I made an announcement. I said 1 week is the registration period. I'm going to start from this date, and if anyone's interested, this is the price. Come in, and I'm going to raise prices next month. But for now, if you want, you can come in. So that's why the community started, and I got 12 people within the first 7-8 days. And I made like 430 or $40 from there. And that gave me enough validation that, okay, there is a space for a community or a mastermind like this to exist, to help people stay accountable, get feedback, and keep shipping on the projects. So yeah, that's when it started. It is back in June 2022, almost 2 years now. And it has grown well since then. Slow and steady. We are past 125 members now, I think. And yeah, we're tight knit. We do regular calls, and we are honest to each other. We give each other honest feedback, and we celebrate each other's wins. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun, actually. And tell me more about the experience that you provide. It is different from the other founder communities, like private founder communities that
Yeah.
I've heard of. Talk more about how, let's say I join in, like what can I expect over the next, let's say, 7 or 30 days?
Yeah, so over 30 days, yeah, we have so many, we have so many different things going on. We hosted on a platform called Heartbeat. So initially we were on Slack, but Slack became too complicated. So I needed a better place to house the community. So that's when earlier this year, we moved to Heartbeat. And we did, so yeah, so on there so I have a bunch of courses and tutorials and resources. That's the content stuff. There are basically three pillars to the community. First is the content pillar, where whatever I learn or some member in the community is an expert at, they come in and then they teach a course, or I teach a course or a workshop, and that content lives there and anyone can consume it. Self-paced, anyone can come in and consume it and learn from it. The other piece is the forum and the chat, which is very standard, like the different groups, and you can come in and you can chat, and it's not very noisy, it's not very chatty, and I like that because I am part of other larger private communities where there's just so much noise that it just feels like another version of Twitter, right? Where you're just trying to stand out in this crowded place. You ask a question and it never gets answered. Touch wood, that has never happened in our community. Like if anyone asks any question or looks for feedback, invariably they do get their question answered, or their feedback received. So we have a chat forum, and then the most interesting part is the live calls that we do, the live Zoom calls that we do. So just like last week, we had our monthly mastermind call where basically everyone in the community gets together, and we go one. It's a 2.5 hour call, and we go one by one. We get updates from everyone. What did you do work on April, and what are your plans for May? Are you looking for some feedback? Can we help you in any way? It is also like partly a demo day. So if anyone wants to demo their product or their new idea, or demo their landing page and get some feedback on it, they can come in and they can showcase it. And it's pretty much a Zoom call like this, very casual and friendly. So that happens once every month. We have book club going as well. So once every 2 or 3 months, we get on a call and talk about a book that we really like. The last book that we read was, I'm forgetting the name. The last book was, I believe, $100 startup, which is again like the idea of a small business or micro business that resonates. The next book probably will be $1 million Weekend or Pathless Path. And so basically, books tell you a lot, teach you a lot. We try to bring in books which which align our psychology and align our values and goals in life. Right. So every 6 to 8 weeks, we do a book club live call. Then there are workshops. So the live workshops, I did a landing page copywriting workshop where everyone came on a call, and we had ChatGPT prompts and we had pieces of copy. So everyone was writing copy for the landing pages at the same time, and they were getting feedback from everyone else. So that was really fun and exciting. This month we're starting with co-working sessions. So thrice a week, we get on a Zoom call, we mute ourselves, and we do deep work for one hour. And basically, at the top of the hour, we set our intentions, what we're going to do. At the end, we basically say goodbye, talk about what we did, and then we move on. So that happens 3 times a week. And so basically, because I realized that one thing, that again, coming back to that, there is so much knowledge in the world. You can know everything that you want, but you still not do anything. So I'm trying to create interventions for people to actually do stuff. Right. So getting live feedback, doing more live workshops, co-working sessions. We have an accountability circle as well. So these things actually get people to do stuff. That's how the community is structured right now.
Yes. And
Yeah.
have you had any really good success stories from the community yet?
Yeah, there are many success stories from within the community. I don't know if you know Bhanu is from the community as well.
Yeah.
He was one of the early members of the mastermind program back in 2022. He was working on Feather at the time, and Feather has had a great journey. Sanat is there. Sanat is the founder of Hirewire. There is Vikash, who's the founder of Bulk Mockup. There are a bunch of people. There's Sahil Khosla, based out of Canada, who runs a YouTube channel, is no code expert. So we are like 125 plus now. So there are just many. Of course, I don't want to say that all of this success is because of the community. Like, the community is only there for help. Like, it is the founders' own grit and hard work and expertise that gets them any success. The community is more like a friends group that they can come to and have an honest conversation with, and that is our role really. So yeah, lots of interesting people inside.
Love this. Wow, this sounds like the perfect place for somebody who is actually trying to go this route and build a business there.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a link to it in the show notes if anybody is interested in checking it out.
Sure. And also, I don't want to like sell this, make a pitch for it, because a community is something that you should only join when you're really intentional, that you really need this kind of help in your journey right now. If you're not in that place in your journey where you're ready to take action, you should not join the community, because you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money, and you're also spoiling the experience of the other members in the community. Because I don't want to say that I have so many members and then have not most of the members not be active. So like, you should join a community when you can actually be active and and you can contribute to it as well. So otherwise there's lots of free stuff on the internet. You can follow me on Twitter, read my newsletter, and get a ton of value from there. And whenever you are ready and you're ready to take actual action, you're interested in monetizing and building a real business, that's when I think is the best time for you to join the community.
Love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So I have one more question about all of this. How do you juggle so many projects all at once?
Yeah, that's crazy. I know. I'm a crazy person. I should not be doing it, but again, I'm not I've been told many times that I lose focus. A lot of people have told me that I should just focus on one thing and make it really big instead of trying to do so many things and not growing them at a fast enough pace. And probably they're right. But I again go back to that same thought, that why am I doing this? I'm doing this for creative freedom, for financial freedom, for calendar freedom. And creative freedom is the first one there. And if my creativity if I feel the energy from inside me to do something, that I'm not going to turn that energy off. I'm going to do what I need to do to make it happen. It may be a distraction, and that's okay. If I was really wanted to be focused, I would stick to my job because that's all my company wanted from me. That is, just focus on your job, do your thing, stay in your lane. But yeah, I cannot stay in that lane. I think more and more. I think most people are like that. Like, most humans are inherently creative, and we want to have multiple projects going on. And if you ask a kid, like if I ask my 9-year-old son that, hey, stay in your lane, do only one thing in your life, only school or only sports, or only this one thing, he's going to be like, okay, this is not how it is supposed. Like, naturally, I am inclined towards so many things. Why should I stick to one thing? So yeah, that's how I think we are all wired. But having said that, one thing I realized is that success really comes from compounding. and you need to stay long enough and give enough time and attention and focus to one thing for it to show results. And so I'm trying to balance that thing of doing multiple projects, but still giving enough attention to each one of them. And I try to structure my days like that, okay, this day I'm only working on this thing. So entire Tuesday is only for this, entire Wednesday is only for this, entire Thursday is only for this. And this is going to be my focus for the day, and everything else I'm going to not do it today. And so I try to work in days, and I try to plan out a lot of things in advance, right? So before I start the week, I know that and I literally have a physical diary where I have all my tasks jotted down, like a dated diary with days of the week, and I've been maintaining it for more than one and a half years now. So I know exactly on what day what I'm doing, just so that I'm on top of everything that is going on in my life. So yeah, it's hard. It's a painful process, but yeah, but it needs to happen that way.
I like this. And tell me more about this process of yours, because I feel like I'm a lot like what you were just saying, like doing multiple projects at once and being attracted by, energized by these things. Do you make a to-do list like every day and write it in your diary, or do you have
No,
like
so
big
I make a
goals for the
to-do
week?
list. I make a to-do list for the week, and where I know that for like what tasks I need to do for which project on which day, and I make that note in the diary. And basically, I follow there's a system called bullet journaling. So you can look it up on YouTube. There are many ways to do bullet journaling, and this is one of the ways where basically every task becomes a bullet item, like a bullet list on your diary, and then you check it off. If you do it, you check it off. If you postpone it, you make a mark on it and then write it down in one of the future days. If you don't do it, you cross it off, stuff like that. So that's what I try to follow with my day-to-day tasks.
Got it. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
For sure.
Okay, now let's move to the final section of this interview, which we call Let's Get Nerdy. This is
Nice.
this is where we'll ask you for your favorite resources, tools, and a lot of the practical stuff that you use in your life every day.
Totally.
So starting with the resources, first tell us which indie hackers do you follow on Twitter? I know that you must be following a ton of them, but just top of your head, who are like the 3 to 4 people who come to mind who have taught you a lot?
I think Arvid Kahl is a huge inspiration to me. He's the kindest man on Twitter. He had a SaaS exit, went from 0 to 55K MRR in 2 years, and then exited a business for a life-changing amount of money, and writes and shares he builds in public, he shares his journey. He's now building a new SaaS right now. So that's really cool as well, like just witnessing his journey. Peter Levels is, of course, an inspiration. Peter Levels builds so many things and is so practical and actionable and forces you to think straight about monetization and revenue. So that's important. Yeah, you may be doing a side project, but like you have to, if you want to build a business, you need to understand why will people pay for this. So Peter Levels is great. Arvid Kahl is great. Kevon Chong in the initial days, another someone who talked about building public a lot, and I learned a lot from him. He was a great inspiration. He was the first person to ask me, like a call on a Zoom call. He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Someday I'll probably quit my job, 2, 3 years down the line. Let's see. I'm trying to build an audience." And he was, why will you not quit a job in 6 months? Like, what's stopping you? Right. And that was the question that he put it in my, planted a seed in my head. That okay, now if I have to do it in 6 months, how can I do it? And eventually I was able to do it in 6, 7 months. So Kevin was a great friend and inspiration at the time. Daniel Vassallo, of course, like when he quit his Amazon job, then and wrote that great essay that only intrinsic motivation lasts, right? And that essay particularly was very inspirational for me and very inspiring. There's of course Nathan Berry, founder of ConvertKit. He has a great essay called The Ladders of Wealth Creation. I think that everyone should go and read. It's a long essay, but basically how you go from being a full-time employee to a freelancer, an agency owner, to a SaaS founder, and basically every there are multiple ladders that you have to climb, and everything is harder as you go forward. Yeah, I think that's a great. Yeah, he's a great guy to follow as well. Lots to learn from his journey also. So yeah, I have like just too many people, but by these 3 to 5 people, I think are a great place for anyone who's starting out to start.
Yeah, I agree. These are great places to start.
And all of these
Thank you for sharing
people
this.
write code. All of these people write code and have been a developer in their life, right? And now they're running their own business and are profitable, bootstrapped, significantly large size businesses. So,
Love that. Okay, I didn't make that connection, but that is even more interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Then talking about Twitter, I forgot to ask you this, but how do you do Twitter well? Not you, but let's say she wants to do Twitter well and she doesn't have any audience right now. She doesn't have any plans, but she wants to use Twitter to make these life-changing connections or all of this. What do you advise people with that?
Just start following interesting people and start adding meaningful replies to them. Just start adding to the conversation, right? When you start out, like nobody's going to follow you, you're going to tweet to crickets. There's going to be no engagement on your tweets, and that's okay. That happens with everyone. So just go where the conversation is already happening. Go to a large account, they tweet something, you add a reply to them, you engage with other people who are replying to them because they are probably like-minded like you, and you start to build a small tribe of your own within that bubble. And it's very much like a party. Like when you go into a party, you don't stand by yourself in a corner and talk to yourself, right? You go where small little bubbles of conversations are happening already, and you try and join those tiny bubbles. And that's how you make connections in a party. If you're going and meeting to a brand new set of people, you go wherever small groups are formed and conversations are happening. You find the most interesting ones to you, and you add to those conversations. You make a connection with the people, and then the people who you meet there, you meet them outside the party, and you go to their homes and you invite them, and you invite them to other parties, and you build a connection and a tribe like that in real life. So might as well do that on Twitter also. Right, I think people expect to get too many followers too early, or they expect that they will tweet and it will suddenly go viral. That never happens. You have to just go where the audience is already there, and then speak to people, send them DMs, get to know them better, be interested. Like the most important thing is be genuinely, honestly interested in what other people are doing, and be curious about them, ask them questions, and then build a connection, a relationship with them. And I think so. I don't have a ton of followers, right? But whatever followers I have, they're deep. I have deep relationships and a deeper connection with them. So I think that's what makes social media social. That's what makes it interesting and actually useful as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and what are your favorite books or favorite books to recommend for people who are trying to go this route?
Yeah, books is a hard one. I read a lot of books, and it is really hard to recommend a few books. But
Okay, what was the last book that you read that you really liked that had a mind-changing impact on you?
so right now I'm reading Cal Newport book, Slow Productivity, which is very powerful, really interesting, and really fun read, and lots to learn from the book. And I'm trying to apply those lessons and being more mindful and productive. But last book I read Morgan Housel's Same as Ever, which is again great book about the same patterns that repeat in history. Then there's Shane Parrish's book Clear Thinking, which I really like. In the SaaS context, I really liked Rob Walling's The SaaS Playbook. It is literally a playbook. It really has everything that you need to do to build a profitable SaaS business. So I think everyone should read that, Rob Walling's book. In general, otherwise, I think people should read Naval Ravikant's book, The Navalmanac. Like those are life-changing concepts, and you really need to imbibe those concepts. If someone is really early and getting just in, still has a job and getting into business, wants to get into business, they should read the book called The Millionaire Fastlane by a guy called MJ DeMarco. And he basically explains like systematically that why staying in a job is actually the wrong thing and it is holding you back. And then why building your own business makes so much sense. So yeah, I highly recommend that book as well to people. So yeah, apart from that, I read everything by Derek Sivers. Right, I think he has a great book called Anything You Want, and his recent book How to Live, basically 27 different ways to live life. So really philosophical and interesting and fun read.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stop this.
No, this is amazing. This is exactly what I wanted to get. All right. And what are some tools from indie hackers that you use and love?
Yeah, so tools from indie hackers, I use Hanu's product, Feather as a Notion to blog platform. I use Sai Krishna's Super Blog as a blogging platform as well for different products, different blogging platforms. There's a indie hacker called Hirvesh, and I use his product Assist Flare for our support documents recently. Use HelpKit. I think that is also from an indie hacker. HelpKit for our support documentation. I use ConvertKit to send out emails. That is from Nathan Berry. Nathan Berry is an indie hacker, although ConvertKit is a large business now. But he started Bootstrap 11 years ago, back in 2012. He bootstrapped the business itself. So yeah, ConvertKit I really love as a product. I love Arvid Kahl's courses and books, all of his work. I think he's written 2 or 3 books and he has one Twitter course. I think that is worth it. I really love Dagobert's Twitter course. Dagobert Renoff, he makes memes on Twitter, startup memes, and then he has a great Twitter course called Dominating. I think everyone should get that as well. So yeah, lots of products from indie hackers.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
link to all of these like in the show notes so that listeners can have an easier time finding them.
Cool,
Okay.
cool.
Perfect.
Nice.
And now one final question for the Ayush. So you came from an engineering background. You worked in IT as a coder for 11 years, middle management, all of that. But today you are a pretty successful startup founder. You are building your own things. Most importantly, you have creative freedom. But a lot of people consider this transition to be impossible. They feel like they are stuck. If they are in a corporate job for 10 years, or even like 10 years is a long time, but even after 5 years, it's easy to feel like you're stuck and there's no way out. So would you like to leave those listeners with any final words or any remarks?
Yeah, there was no, I am that person where I realized there is no way out of this because I realized that, that I'm stuck in this job and I will, to the end of my life, I'll keep doing this. And I had that feeling for such a long time. And it's really putting one brick on top of the other and learning and growing. And life is so long, right? I think 5-10 years is not that long a period, right? When you realize that, okay, I still got 30-40 years in my career, because all of us are, by the way, all of us are going to live till 80, 90, 100, most likely, because the average age is going up and health standards are improving as well. So we are going to live longer and we are not going to retire at 60 like our parents. We're going to keep working till 70, 75 most likely. And I would rather work on things that I like for that long. So the way I think about it, like every 5-10 years, I'm going to have to reinvent myself anyways. So every decade is probably a new challenge. You should take that up. If you've been in one job for 7, 8, 10 years or doing one thing, don't be afraid of going back and learning something from scratch and turning that into your career as well, because that is going to happen multiple times in your life. And so, it is really like putting one brick on top of the other again and again and learning new things and being curious and being open to learning new things every day. Yeah, even today, like right now, I said SEO is doing well, but there are problems with SEO also. Like, our traffic is reducing gradually. So now I have to fix that. I have to figure out what is an issue. I have to learn new marketing strategies, try other things, try paid ads, learn Facebook ads, learn Google ads, or something else, do influencer marketing. So yeah, there is a constant need of innovation, like innovating yourself and upskilling yourself. And I think that is the only way we survive. AI is going to take over everything else. We need to keep reinventing ourselves.
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the perfect note to end this interview. Thank you so much for joining us on this interview, Ayush. It has been such a pleasure learning from you.
Likewise, it was great fun being here and speaking to you guys. Thanks so much for having me. It's really an honor. Cheers.